Hi, everybody. Welcome again to Relationships in a Good Way. I am Juliana Good, and this week we are going to keep talking about toxic behaviors in relationships. It's such an important thing to learn once you are in a work environment, family, or romantic relationships. This episode is especially about gaslighting and manipulation. What are the common sentences that a gaslighter use? Number one, that never happened. That never happened. Let's make an example. You go out with your boyfriend starts flirting with someone else on the other table of the restaurant. And you say, are you flirting with this person? And he says, no, of course not. It never happened. You hear him or she, you hear her speaking on the phone with someone and saying things that you cannot hear so well, but you realize that it's something about you or about something you did or whatever. And then you ask, have you ever said that things to that person on the phone? No, never. I would never do that with you. This is like pure examples of gaslighting. And then you say like, oh my God, this happens all the time in my life, in my relationship, in my family. I do that all the time. Think about it. It's not, gaslighting is a toxic behavior that obviously can go in different, the spectrum is big. It happens often in relationships, but it can happen a little bit, and it can happen to the point that you bring a person to a mental state that it's not anymore. It's not healthy anymore. So the consequence of that is that the victim starts questioning their instincts and relies more and more on the reality that gets created, okay, and manipulated by the abuser. It also heightens a sense of dependency on the abuser. So controlling, manipulation, it's all about controlling, right? It's all about controlling. Controlling is a good thing because you have, I'm thinking as an abuser, it's a good thing because you have control. You know what's going to happen. You know that that person's going to be there, that person is going to do what you want. You know, it's way easier, let's say, than living with an unknown, right? To take risks, right? So controlling is it's a bad habit that we all have, that we try to control the world because it's much easier, it's safe, it's stable. If we control, it's stable. We bring us stability. If we control, we know what's going to happen. If we control, we don't know what we are going to, we are not going to live with the unknown. Second sentence, mostly very common in gaslighting. You are crazy. And other people think that too. Gaslighters try to convince that the victim, again, the word, the victim, is crazy. He says, you're crazy. I'm not the only person who thinks that. I've heard that from your family. I've heard that from your friends. I've heard that from my family. People are trying to convince me that you're crazy, and I'm starting to believe, and I want to help you because you're crazy. You have a big imagination. You hear things that you didn't exist. You twist my words. You create situations in your mind that never happened. This is a very common thing in a gaslighting situation. Third one is, I'm sorry you think that I hurt you. It's not, I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry you think that I hurt you. He's blaming you. You think it's your imagination, right? I did not hurt you, but I'm sorry if you feel like that. So he's not admitting that he hurt you. He says that he feels sorry for you feeling that way because he never did. You see the difference of twisting words and how the words of an abuser are placed in a different way. So he's saying, I'm sorry, but not for something he did. He's saying he's not apologizing for anything, right? He's just blaming you. It's his way, his kind way to say to you that you're crazy again, that you feel hurt, but he never did that to you. Do you really think I would ever do that to you? Do you really think that I would make that up? When a gaslighter creates a new story to explain an event that happened, it got out of control, of his control. He said or did things that somehow he shouldn't have. Then he creates a new story and he convinced you or the victim that the story was a different way. And then when you ask, because it comes to a point that the person asks, but I know what I'm talking about. You said this, this, and that. And he will say, do you really think that I would make it up? Like he puts the victim in a situation that the victim is asking herself, oh my God, I feel like I'm accusing him of making something up. I am in a guilty situation, in a guilty position, that I am convincing the person. I am trying to tell him that he did something differently, but I'm doing wrong because how he's getting is like he's making that up. That I am trying to convince him that he's making up things that didn't happen. An abuser most often will use the phrase when they are accused of lying or fabricating details. This is another example that an abuser will use to make a victim question their reality. The consequence of that is using this phrase, abusers are manipulating the victim's understanding of trust. They are attempting to make the victim feel guilty for not trusting them. So here it is. You are just trying to confuse me. You aren't making any sense. Again, you're crazy. You are too sensitive. I did that because I love you. You are too sensitive. I repeat it. I'm sorry. I'm worried about you. You keep forgetting things. That's dangerous. That's really, really dangerous. This is why you don't have friends and you are being paranoid. This is so common. So gaslighting can happen also in workplace. That's how words that you can receive at working place from your boss, for example, who is a gaslighter. I emailed you about the meeting. Are you sure you didn't get it? He forgot to send you an email. He forgot to invite you to a meeting. He didn't invite you to a meeting on purpose, that he didn't want you to participate in that meeting, for example. And then he asks you if you are okay. You missed something. That's your fault. Another one, you seem stressed. Not everyone can handle new responsibilities. So when you do something that it's not very, when you do something that it's not the way he wants, or he feels like, or you accomplished something, but he feels like, let's say it's not the way he wanted to have. He says, oh, you seem so stressed, right? You're not okay. You're not mentally healthy. Not everyone can handle new responsibilities, because that's a way to say you're not capable. Okay? Sometimes in workspace, there is a lot of gaslighting because there is a lot of competition, and people go really low and try to question the other one's mental health, right? Try to manipulate in that matter so that the other one doesn't get promoted, he gets promoted, or whatever, however it is the situation. There are so many reasons in working place that you can convince someone of and question someone themselves about their own mental health, right? Competition is obviously the number one of all the reasons. I didn't ask you to do this. You misunderstood. So many times, right? A boss says like, I didn't ask you to do that way, or I didn't ask you to do this way, this presentation, let's say. And you start questioning yourself. How was the conversation? You don't have anything written, you don't have anything documented. And then sometimes you start questioning yourself of your own capabilities to work in that position. Consequences can be embarrassing the person in front of others if you say that in front of other colleagues. So the other colleagues will also be convinced about your capabilities of working, doubting his or her ability to perform well, demotivation, blame the other person for their own mistakes. And we see nowadays a lot of cases of burnout because of work, because of gaslighting at work. We see a lot nowadays, a lot of cases of burnout because of gaslighting. It's sad, but it is. Self-doubt, isolation from social life, traumas like betrayal trauma, abandonment, rejection trauma, fear, increased anxiety. There are a lot of people with panic attacks or anxiety problems, but anxiety is not just being a little bit nervous, there's a lot of anxiety. Uncertainty about their own reality, depression, low self-esteem, sometimes nervous breakdown, and as I said, burnout. And obviously, you cannot see there are so many consequences of gaslighting that it comes in long term. Okay. As you know, I'm always very happy to answer all your questions, your comments, and give me your likes and you follow me. Thank you for watching.